Welcome back to the classroom. Today we're continuing our series, A Moment for Life, where we break down the pro-life argument into smaller segments so that we can better understand, better articulate, and better defend our pro-life position. Today we're going to look at how to defend the pro-life syllogism. In our last installment, we found out that the syllogism itself was a way to present the pro-life argument in a clear, concise, and compelling way. Premise 1. It is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Premise 2. Elective abortion intentionally kills an innocent human being. Conclusion. Therefore, elective abortion is wrong. In defending our pro-life syllogism, we're going to take it in two parts. First, we're going to defend premise 1 and 2, and then we'll talk briefly about defending the conclusion. So how do we defend premise 1? It is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Well, thankfully, you are usually going to get agreement on this. Because after all, if it is not wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being, then what could possibly be wrong? When you do get agreement on this, just remind them that yes, it is wrong, and that wrongness comes from the intrinsic value that all human beings have. If you start to get a little pushback on premise 1, just focus on two things: intent and innocent. Because the pushback that you're going to get is usually, well, then if you're against the killing of the unborn, well then what about capital punishment? What about wars? What about famine? What about letting people starve? What about the homeless? And they will go on and on and on. And you just stop them and focus them and remind them that you are saying that it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. You're not saying that deaths of all human beings under any circumstance are wrong. They may or they may not be, but it's not what your argument is. Your argument is innocent human beings being intentionally killed. That's the wrongness. You're going to get objections from the academic community, or someone who has read a paper, or someone who thinks that they have a little bit better bead on this than you. And here's what they're going to say. I don't agree with premise 1. I don't agree that it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. I would agree that it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human person. They draw a distinction between a human being and a human person. Now, in another segment of A Moment for Life, we will talk about the difference between the human being and the human person, and we will find out that there isn't one. All human beings are human persons. There is no difference. We have tried throughout history to create this distinction, and every time we have has failed miserably. There is no difference. Don't let them get away with telling you that there is. Premise 1, it is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Because we are human beings, we have intrinsic value. There is no difference between a human being and a human person, and we are focusing on the intentional killing of innocent human beings. How do we defend premise 2? That elective abortion intentionally kills an innocent human being. Now, this is really where the meat of our defense comes. Take it step by step. First of all, it is vitally important that they understand what you mean by elective abortion. That these are not the abortions that are done to save the life of the mother. Elective abortions are the overwhelmingly vast majority of abortions that are done as a matter of choice, preference, convenience, exercise of right. They are not done out of necessity to save the life of the mother. But what about those cases that aren't elective? We'll deal with that in another segment, but very briefly, we're talking about things like ectopic pregnancy, where the embryo has implanted in some other place than the uterus. This is truly a life-threatening condition for the mother, and it needs surgical intervention. But the intent of that surgical intervention is to save the life of the mother. It is not to kill an innocent human being. We save the life that we can, and when medical technology catches up and we can save the life of the unborn, we'll save that one too. Elective abortion intentionally kills. Well, what about intentionally? This intentional act is certainly there. If we don't have some purpose to the abortion, doesn't it just seem silly that it would be a haphazard procedure? Of course the procedure is intentional. It is geared toward the killing of the unborn. It's not done by accident. It's not done by happenstance. It is done through intention. The doctor got up that morning knowing he was going to perform abortions. The woman went into the abortion clinic knowing she was going to have an abortion. This is, by all definition, an intentional act. Does it kill? Of course it kills. Even pro-choice advocates agree that it kills. The question is, what does it kill and how do we value what it kills? But there is absolutely no question that it in fact kills. Because you know what you call an abortion that does not kill? You call it malpractice. Well, what about innocent? This is the part that I really have difficulty being gracious and winsome about when I hear this argument that the unborn are not in fact innocent. And that argument goes like this. The unborn are not innocent. They are doing something they have no right to do. And because they are doing it, they can be killed for that act. What is that act? That act is living inside another human being. They liken the unborn to a parasite. They liken a human being to a parasite. And they say because it is a parasite, it can be killed. There is nothing more offensive that I have ever heard from a pro-choice advocate than to call a human being a parasite. I devote another entire segment of A Moment for Life to this particular argument, where we take it step by step and show how throughout history, when human beings have been called parasites, and make no mistake, this would not be the first time a human being or a group of human beings has been called a parasite. For now, be gracious and winsome and just remind them they are exactly where nature placed them. And looking ahead to that other segment on the fetus as a parasite, science requires that a parasite be two different species. The unborn and the mother are definitely the same species. They are not, by definition, a parasite. So let's look at the last two together, the human being. First of all, they are a being. The unborn, from its one-celled stage forward, is a total organism. It is self-contained and self-directing. It has what it needs in its coding and in its makeup to develop through all its stages. It is a being. It's not like the skin cells on the back of your hand. They are different types of cells. We covered that in the science portion of the 4 essential questions. Is it human? Again, pro-choice advocates agree. Honest pro-choice advocates agree. Of course it's human. There is no way that human parents can produce an offspring that is a being that is not human but later becomes human. They can't do that. Elective abortion intentionally kills an innocent human being. So how do we defend the conclusion that therefore elective abortion is wrong? We use the transitivity of implication. Premise, conclusion. The transitivity of implication means if A implies B and B implies C, then A implies C. If you want to see a more in-depth analysis of this, we present it in the Pro-Life Classroom presentations. I'd be happy to send it to you. All you have to do is contact me through the Pro-Life Classroom. I want you to notice also the use of the word therefore. A conclusion that is based on sound premises has that word therefore in it. It is what separates a logical, sound, supported argument from a mere assertion. Our pro-life syllogism is an argument. Oftentimes, pro-choice statements are mere assertions. The bottom line is that the pro-life syllogism is easy to defend. You just take it step by step. You use science and philosophy, Remember, the facts are on our side. Science is on our side. Philosophy is on our side. Logic is on our side. Use them. They're powerful tools. Use them. When you are confronted with someone who is arguing against, it's real easy to ask them, I hear what you're saying, but how does that affect my syllogism? How does that defeat my syllogism? How does that show that either premise 1 is false or premise 2 is false, or that my conclusion doesn't logically flow from the premises? They can't do it. As always, speak graciously but truthfully every time, everywhere. I'll see you next time in the classroom. Thanks for watching and for taking a moment for life.